Welcome, everyone. You are about to embark on a journey through the universe as you indulge in this extraordinary essence of enlightened, empowered, evolved. Let the show begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Just in time. Greetings, everyone. I'm Luke Bryan Smith, and welcome to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolve, where we educate, motivate, and liberate you through enlightening dialogues, empowering music, and evolving content. I know everyone's doing well and everything is unfolding perfectly. I am excited yet again because my next guest is a beacon of spiritual guidance, a catalyst for transformation, and a breaker of cycles. With certifications as a yoga instructor, body worker, and Reiki practitioner, her expertise extends to that word again,
Oh, Ayurvedic. Yeah.
Ayurvedic. Yes, health coaching, meditation, and ongoing studies in various modalities, including breathwork, NLP, trauma healing, and leadership. Wow, and just a whole lot more. But without further ado, allow me to introduce to you Lea Finnegan. How are you doing today, Lea?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you for asking.
Yes, yes. And I want to say before I proceed any further that I believe that time is one of our most precious assets. And for you to choose to spend some of your time here with me on Enlightened Empowered Evolved, I just want to extend my sincerest gratitude to you. Thank you very much for being here at this present moment. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yes. Yes. So let's get right into it. So just give us a little framework in regard to you being this beacon of spiritual guidance, a catalyst for transformation, breaker of cycles. Kind of give us a little framework around that, how that came about, and your perception and perspectives in regard to what that all entails.
So I am a child thriver of generational trauma. I grew up in a tumultuous home. Um, my mother was raised by, she's Native, and so there was a lot of alcoholism and just emotional unavailability. And through that, I saw how that impacted me and my siblings. And I really did my best to be the mediator and be the one that was always there for everyone. And learning all these modalities helped me to overcome all the obstacles I faced, all the challenges I faced in my interpersonal relationships, um, and just inside myself. And that, for the longest time, I couldn't really figure out why I wanted to learn all these different things, because I just would dive into 4 or 5 different programs and want to know it all. And then I realized it was because I just want to use these tools to help others who have gone through similar things or having challenges in their lives, overcome those obstacles as well, and change their story of a story of surviving or victimhood to a story of not only surviving but thriving.
Thriving.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And yes, and that's what I was going to ask you too. I was going to say, what motivated you to study these different modalities? But I would say from just listening to you now, just your intuition guided you to it, to
Right.
those. Yes, and that's amazing. It's always a fascinating and incredible story when someone can take their journey of pain and trauma and turn it into a superpower. And that to me makes a person more passionate. Not saying I wish that, on you, but at the same time, I'm sure you're in a place where you realize that you had to go through everything that you went through to be the person that you are now and to be the advocate and the motivator and the yeah that you are
Absolutely.
now. Yeah, so
Absolutely. I personally started off with, how can I improve myself? How can I improve the things in my life that I find as challenging?
right,
Whether that be communication with within my soul group, my family, my friends, whether that be, having healthy boundaries, whatever it
right,
were at the time. And I would apply that to myself, and then in retrospect, I see, okay, that's also my gift, is to come to others and be able to help them to do the same, and advocate for them to do the same.
Amazing, amazing. And without giving too much away, because I think it's just I'm just singling something out, and it happens to be like trauma. How do you even start to overcome that? I mean, if you can give us a little golden nugget without giving away, all your expertise that people can come and seek that for themselves, but just a little something. I mean,
Right.
what's the start in getting over this trauma? Because I'm a firm, well, from my perspective, I believe we all have, and just everyone that I've encountered, whether you have to dig a little bit deeper or some people are in denial, but we all have some type of trauma. And some it was intentionally done to us or whatever, or we were involved in, and some it's just people around us were doing the best they could with the knowledge that they had, whether it was toxic or whatever, but nonetheless, we absorb it. So what is one of the first steps that we you do, or something important that we do to start heading in that direction of overcoming and healing?
Well, I think it first starts off with acknowledgement, acknowledging that
Right,
you have experienced it,
right,
acknowledging the situation, and just really giving yourself grace
right,
and self-love in the fact that, yes, that happened to me, whether it was somebody else's fault or not, and just loving yourself through that despite it. What I how I feel is that most people's central nervous system is completely dysregulated.
mhm,
We're all running around, 85% of the planet is running around in fight, or some form of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
right,
And so our nervous systems are completely dysregulated. So I find that that's the most important thing to address at first, is
mm,
really just fixing that issue, or doing something every day that's going to help you calm down and come into your body and really be present in your body and in the moment, rather than finding all these ways to distract yourself, whether it be running around with the kids all day, or
right,
watching something on the television all day, or going to the gym, or many people are in a form of hypervigilance,
mhm,
where they're constantly go, go,
yes,
go, 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 so
yes,
that they don't have to sit and be with themselves and feel the feelings they're having,
right,
either because they've been taught that it's not okay, or just because it's uncomfortable. So
yes. It's
that's what I
it's
would say.
it's unknown. Oh, and thank you very much for saying that. And might I elaborate on that a bit? From my perspectives, is yes, I too have been there too, where it seems like that I'm looking for something to keep me, like you said, distracted or entertained, or placing my happiness outside of me, looking for the next rush, looking for the next, and it's fleeting that way. And I now realize that the sustained happiness is inside an inside job. And you just have to, like you said, become mindful and present, and stop uh, constantly reviewing what happened. I mean, I think there's a benefit to reviewing things to learn, but then if you stay there, yeah, it's not good. And or you're anxious about something that hasn't happened or that may happen, that you're creating in your mind. We, we have to learn to sit still and to love being with ourselves. And now I do. I didn't always like to be alone, but I don't consider it alone now. I have a saying with my that I'm with myself, or with the universe. I'm never alone, you know. So even when I'm talking to myself, it's like two people talking, because I'm talking and I'm answering it. I'm coming up with answers that are filtering through me, probably, from my intuition, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. But I'm not alone. I can
Right.
feel a presence, whether it's my own, I don't know. But
Well, and I like to say it's my higher self. It's my higher consciousness.
yes, there you go.
I mean, and you can define it as God, you can define it as your higher self, your spirit guides, whatever you really want to define it as. But I mean, even Eckhart Tolle says, like, you have you, and then you have the higher person that's viewing you. And so when you're in your head and you're hearing that internal voice, where is that coming from? You know what I'm saying? Like, who is
Right.
viewing all the things that you are doing in your life? And so, yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that. And it's
Yes.
really about overcoming the stories. Like, so much of the time we're creating these stories in our mind
Right.
about what if this happens and what if that happens. And honestly, one of my greatest mentors told me, he said, Leah, if you're going to make up a story, make it a good one.
Mm,
You're making up all these
wow.
stories in your head. Why does it always have to lean on the negative or the doomsday stories? Why can't it be, oh my God, what if something better than what I'm actually wanting or desiring is what's going to happen? So we just kind of get stuck in that loop of creating stories, and that can cause all the anxiety in the world, and it's unnecessary because literally most of the time they never even manifest.
Right.
Yeah.
In my perspective, from what I uh from my upbringing, it it was sort of handed down. It's like we're connected to this rush of whatever fear gives us, and so we're more connected to that. So it's almost like we weren't even conscious, to think that other way. And
Right.
some people, I say they're blessed that we're brought up in a way where, like you said, always attaching themselves to the optimism and the overcoming. And we weren't. My family wasn't. We always talked about and dwelled on bad things and negativity and poverty thinking and gossip about other people's wrongdoings and judging. And it's just, I am thankful now that I am aware, of that. I can spot it and recognize it in other people. And now that's no longer a part of who I am now. I work on myself every day and to balance myself with reading and meditation and just stillness. And just knowing that everything is okay. It doesn't matter. It's not okay because I have this new clothes or this new car or I'm going here. I'm okay right here, right now, you know. And that's what I work on doing every day. It's just balancing myself and expressing gratitude, because there's so much. But yes, earlier on and throughout my family, history, it's just it's not that way, and it's still some. And this is not uh me trying to make shame out of my family or point fingers. It's just an observation that, because before you can, like you said, overcome something, you got to recognize it. So that this is
Absolutely.
me saying, yes, I recognize now where a lot of the thoughts came from, and it was all in the energy, you know.
Right. Well, because when we're children, we're like sponges. We just absorb that stuff. And
Right,
so when we're around our families and that's how they behave, and that's generationally what they've been taught
right,
themselves,
right,
then of course, we absorb that and make those stories our own stories.
right,
So it's a lot of it is reprogramming your subconscious mind, because
mhm,
your
right,
neural pathways are already programmed for lack or all these other behaviors or ways of thinking. And so it's just like a river. When the river's flowing through one way, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and so those connections get stronger, and they're just the go-to connections because that's what's programmed. And
right,
so it's about reprogramming those and basically taking a thought and reframing it,
right,
reframing that belief, reframing that thought to something more positive. And you can't
right,
necessarily jump from I don't love myself to oh my God, I'm in love with myself. I mean, you
right.
have to take
it's a
smaller baby
it's a
steps, but
process.
right,
Yes,
right. And so it's
right,
it's smaller steps of taking a thought, taking a belief and
right,
reframing it to something, to smaller, I say smaller chewable bites, and then
mm,
slowly working yourself up to that place of self-love, to that place of a more positively vibrational
right,
life.
right, right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And yes, it's a process. And in regard to myself and other people, uh and I use an example like family or people that were close friends. I have to get into a place had to get into a place where I don't, judge or have expectations that someone has done all the work that I've done. Because and where I'm going with this is, like, if, say, like, I encounter, you know someone, and then they start to gossip, and I draw a boundary. They don't understand what I'm doing. Like, this is how we've always been. It's like, no, I've grown where that it's not conducive to my, my peace anymore. And they don't understand. And it's like,
Right.
I can't, like I said, I have to be mindful and understand that they're not going to understand, even if I explain it right then. It'll take them time if they even want to grow. Because everybody, I also realize this, everybody's not here to expand and get a higher level of consciousness. They are just not. And I try to just observe without any type of expectation or judgment, just say my piece and continue to go. And if they're interested, I can say, hey, check out this book, or whatever. But if someone is not ready, they give off
Right.
that energy like, no, something's different about you. And what do you mean? And this, I didn't mean any, no offense. I'm just saying, just for me, I don't, you know, participate in those type of conversations anymore.
Right.
And,
Well, and a couple of the programs that I facilitate actually that addresses those pieces, because
right,
we have to understand that not everyone is at the emotional intelligence level that we are at.
right.
Everybody's at a different level, and
Level.
and without judgment, with love and understanding and validation, we have to understand that maybe where we're putting those people in our lives isn't where we should be putting those people in our lives.
Right,
And
right,
it can be hard when you're waking up to these things to draw boundaries and then realize who you want to keep in your life and who you don't necessarily want to keep in your life.
right,
And it really shows how much you've grown in your own work when you can say, hey, you know what, like this is what I is okay for me and my
right,
boundary.
right,
And if you continue to behave in that way, I have to lovingly remove myself
right.
from my own
No,
peace.
and I
So,
have done that over the years. A lot of cleaning out the closet
right,
with people, and it's not like you said. I'm careful because it's not in a negative way where I feel like, oh, I'm better than you, so I need to know. It's not like that. It's a peaceful uh 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 separation, a peaceful, less and less contact, and till we kind of and sometimes people do take offense to it though, but I can't worry about that, because I'm responsible for my mental health and well-being. So,
absolutely.
I'll wish people well, and I'll work with them if they choose to, or if they want to know what I'm doing. But if they're not ready, I'm not going to force it, and I'm going to try my best, especially when you care about people. They might not be the best for your life, but if you care about them, especially, you don't want to say, hey, get out of my life, you're no good. I'm not going to do it that way, but
Right,
sometimes you do have to speak up and say, hey, this is not for me anymore, and I'm going to have to go my own way. you know
right.
no judgment. Peace to you. That works for you, fine. I'm not saying anything about it, no judgment way, but that's just not for me. And
Absolutely.
you got to move on, and I have. Yes, yes,
Right.
there's
And I feel like that's one of the biggest challenges when you're starting to really grow and you want peace in your life and you have a certain level of aspirations and just the way you want your life to be, um, and you just don't feel that that's in alignment for you anymore.
right,
It
right.
can be
No, it's true,
challenging.
and it's okay. When I first, yes, first start going in that direction, yes, it's hard because I wasn't used to it. And anything that shakes you up, that's different, that you're not used to, yes, you're not going to know how like, what are these feelings? Is this right or is this wrong? And this person holds this title in my life. It doesn't matter if they're toxic or whatever.
Right,
I don't have to let them go. And then you realize, yes, you do.
right, right.
Yes, if you want to keep growing, you do. And if you don't want to keep taking on you know, that burden and that energy and that draining, then yes, you have to move. You have to
Well, and
move.
it's a light, it's a learning experience and it's a cycle, and it's how many times you need to learn the lesson before you really learn the lesson, you know?
Right,
And
right,
as humans that, sometimes we have to learn the lesson several times before we get, and we're like, oh, okay, well, that here's the same cycle repeating in my life again.
right,
How am I going to address it differently this time from a different standpoint from
right,
where I am mentally and emotionally right now, as opposed to where I was, say 3 or 5 years ago?
right.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. Yeah, so let's get in a bit about your certifications. Um, this yoga certification. Give us a little insight on that. Since you've been doing yoga, uh, how has that impacted your life?
Well, I started doing yoga when I was about 18. I lost a close friend, and it was in a pretty traumatic way. And it was a large friend group. It was in front of several people. And many of us that witnessed it sought out therapy. And several of my friends ended up actually on antidepressants. And
Mm,
I tried them,
I've been
but
there.
they turned me into a zombie. I literally I got down to 90 pounds. I was just a zombie, and I was living with my dad at the time, and he was just like, this is not good. We're going to take you to a homeopathic
Makes you
doctor.
numb. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he took me to a homeopath, and she said, well, here's the deal. Like, we can do this with diet and exercise. And I was already in track running all the time.
Right.
But she said, it's still, you're on the hamster wheel. You need to do something to calm you, to calm that anxiety and stress. So
Right.
I started doing yoga then, and then after going to several yoga classes, I was watching how some of the instructors were teaching, and many of the students had gotten injured from teachers pushing them further into poses that they weren't necessarily,
Oh,
their
wow.
bodies weren't necessarily made to do, because all
Yeah.
of our bodies are different.
Wow.
But everyone in yoga wants to be the most bendy, flexy, amazing, keep up with the Joneses in some ways. I find that's not so much the case now, but at that time, that was very much the case.
Right.
And I thought, man, I just feel like I really need to teach people.
Mhm.
And
That's great.
so I began teaching, and I learned Iyengar yoga. And that's a form of yoga where we use a lot of props,
Oh,
blocks, straps, whatever,
wow.
and there's a lot of what we call bus stops, which is different variations of the poses for beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And I really loved that because it was yoga for everybody, not just everyone trying to be the most bendy flexy. And that really helps with my anxiety and just
Yes.
everything.
Wow.
And I just have been doing it since then.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. Also, body worker. Give us a bit of insight on that. Is that connected with the Reiki, or is that its own entity? Body worker.
Reiki is more of energy work.
Okay.
Um, I went to school to be a massage therapist,
Okay.
and I've been certified as a massage therapist for about 20 years.
Oh, okay.
And so I offer that to my clients and to my family. I don't necessarily work in a massage environment.
Right. Right.
That was just not what my passion was. So, but I wanted to learn, I wanted to know it. And so that is part of it. Massage therapy and Ayurveda is just
Yes, I was going to ask you. You already
yeah.
took the question right out of my head. You
So
saw it.
that yeah. So that's Indian medicine actually, and it's herbal remedies and just m- many other modalities. I'm not an actual practitioner, which is like more of like a doctor of Ayurveda, where I
Right.
can prescribe things and whatnot. I can only give suggestions based off of what I see when someone takes the test to see what their primary dosha is. And so a dosha is it's based off the elements of the earth, air, fire, water, and ether. And you can go anywhere online and take a quiz, and it'll tell you which elements are your primary doshas. And then I can work and tell you, like, say, for example, your primary dosha is fire, and that's the pitta. And you have you're getting rashes all the time, and you're eating spicy food and this and this and that. Well, I mean, if your primary dosha is fire, you probably shouldn't be consuming all these spicy foods and going and doing hot yoga, because and you're coming to me with rashes all over your body. Well, you're just triggering it and inflaming it more.
Right.
If you have a hot temper and you're just eating spicy food and you can't understand why you're always feeling angry and anxious, well, you know, eat
Maybe
something that's cooling, maybe some watermelon, or you know what I'm saying? It's
cucumbers. Yeah.
right,
I love
right,
putting cucumbers in water.
right,
Yes. Cucumber, a little bit of lime or lemon. Yes. Refreshing. And mineral water as well. Yes.
right.
Amazing. So, how, while we're here, if you could share with us, how can people find you? Do you have any your social media link you can share, or a website or anything?
Yeah, you can find me on I am underscore lovely Leah on Facebook and on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm currently working on a website. It's Illumination Inc. So to find that, it would be illumination/inc.com.
Oh,
And my
okay.
website's under construction right now currently. But yeah,
Okay.
you can find all my contact info on my social medias.
Okay. Yes, and I'll be sure to incorporate those in the description of this segment as well. And feel free also, even after I have edited and uploaded it later on, I can add your website when it's ready to go. You just send me a message and, hey, I got my website up and running, and I'll just slide it in there.
Absolutely lovely. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So is there anything else that we missed to not that we didn't focus on or that you would like to
Um,
highlight or just any last bit of
Sorry, I'm making a
clarity or
mess.
anything? Oh, okay.
All right, thanks. Sorry, just reaching for a tissue. I would say the programs that I am holding, I do group facilitation programs
Right,
that are based around living in your center of power rather than living in control. And it's all about um, right relationship with yourself, right relationship with others,
right,
um, the 7 steps of communication, healthy communication and relating really, and knowing what is yours and what is someone else's, and how to operate from that center of your own personal power rather than control and manipulation. So I
sounds
offer
great.
group sessions on that, and I also facilitate healing circles. So
Okay.
there's quite a bit to unwrap in that.
Absolutely. And if there's any links that you feel you left out, please feel free to send them to me so I can incorporate them into the description. Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. Amazing. Well, I just want to thank you again for coming on and sharing your amazing perspectives and insight and experiences, and knowledge and wisdom. I appreciate it very much. I always say that it's like this podcast is like a class for me. I learned so much from my various guests, their perspectives, and yeah, the way they look at things and what they're passionate about, and it's just always amazing just to be on these what I like to call high vibrational dialogues. Amazing,
Absolutely.
and
Well,
to
and
be
I just like to share that, healing isn't linear. I mean, it's
right,
like a spiral. We go through a phase where we're learning and we're up leveling, and
right,
then maybe we might feel stagnant for a little while.
right.
And then we learn some more and ascend some more, and then we're stagnant for a while. And it's not really stagnation, it's more of a time to process whatever it is that we
Yes,
are experiencing.
yes,
And it's not something that you can cookie cut for every person.
right.
Like it's what works for one person may not necessarily work for the other person. And I feel like that's why I have been trained and am pursuing more training in so many different modalities. That way I can cater to each individual person based
Right,
on whatever it is that works for them. Because a lot of the things that have worked for me haven't necessarily worked for my best friends and family members.
right,
So that's something that people should keep in mind. Like, if you try a modality and it doesn't work for you, don't get discouraged. Just know, okay, maybe this one doesn't work for me. That doesn't mean that the next one won't.
right.
So
And that's amazing that you're aware of that, because oftentimes in my experiences, you will find certain individuals that will try to give you a one size fits all remedy. And it's like, no, yes, we're all different and different things, speak to us, so it's amazing that you can assist in catering something that can work for each individual.
yeah,
Amazing.
my
Yes.
pleasure. My pleasure,
Yes.
certainly.
Okay. Thank you again, Leah, for coming on and just bringing more value to not only myself, but to the platform and everybody that's watching and or listening. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your presence and yes, for your mindfulness and just, yes, your focus. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.
Yes. Yes. And thank you everyone for watching and or listening. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, whichever platform you are viewing and or listening to this on. And check out the description, check out the links in the description, and be sure to hit the Enlightened Empowered Evolved website as well at 333empower.com. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Appreciate you spending your time here with me and supporting my guest and I. Thank you very much. Love and appreciation. Until next time, see you soon. Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved.